station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
I'm Randy Bass reporting at East Potomac Park, and it's a great day to get away. Coming up, how you can save at national parks today.
And coming up on the news at noon.
This is a very sad day for America.
President Trump calling the latest indictment against him a persecution. The former president making those remarks after leaving his arraignment yesterday. We're going over what happened in that courtroom.
Well, good afternoon, DMV. Happy Friday. We finally made it, but we are waking up to some cloudy conditions out there and tracking some rain. So definitely keep it here. A look at that forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Brittany. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Tosin Fakile. We begin with a live look right now outside. It started off as a rainy morning. It's been misty. It's been cloudy. This is the Kennedy Center, and it's a beautiful start, honestly, to the Friday. If we could just move some of those clouds out the way. I know the sun has tried to peek out a few times, so maybe there is hope for our afternoon. And to help us with the answer to that, here's weather forecaster Brittany Ward. She's in for Damon. So, Brittany, I've been here since like 3:30 this morning. It was rainy.
So sorry for you.
It was rainy. It was cloudy. What can we expect for the rest of the day?
Unfortunately, I know you said you wanted the clouds to move. They're not going to budge too much as we head through your Friday. But the good news is we are dry. The rain that we saw earlier this morning has slipped down to our area just to the south of us, all thanks to that low pressure that is just centered over North Carolina. Now, kind of zooming in, showing you radar, you can see across the DMV, we are currently dry. We do have a coastal flood advisory in effect for Washington, D.C. Just keep an eye out on any of those streams and creeks if you are going to be heading out a little bit later on today. Temperature-wise, fairly warm out there. 74 currently in the nation's capital, 75 as you head over there to Frederick, 73 in Leesburg, lower 80s though as you head over there to Luray and Kaiser. So overall, we are going to see a very quiet afternoon. It's not until this evening is when we start to see things begin to fire up. Dew point temperatures right now, they are on the muggier side, upper 60s here in the nation's capital, 64 there in Frederick, 64 as well in Winchester, 67 as you head over there to Winstock. So stepping out the door, it does feel oppressive, and those highs today, they're still going to be on the warmer side, ranging between the lower to upper 80s across the board. It's not until tonight where a cold front begins to move through its area that's going to be sparking up a few storms. So definitely keep it here, Tosin. We'll talk more about that forecast coming up.
All right, Brittany, thank you. Well, we are still talking about the former president's indictment, and there is another grand jury weighing possible charges against Trump for allegedly working to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia. A decision is expected on that case sometime this summer. But first, former President Donald Trump appeared in a D.C. courtroom yesterday. He was there to answer for those same charges, conspiring to overturn the 2020 election. The arraignment lasted less than an hour, and this was Trump's third court appearance this year. The former president was before a federal judge. The judge read the charges to Trump, asked if he understood his rights. The former president said he did. Then Trump pled not guilty to all 4 counts, which include conspiracy, construction, and denial of rights. The Justice Department alleges Trump led a conspiracy to overturn that 2020 election. Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, who filed the charges, says Trump knew he lost the election, but continued to peddle lies that the election was stolen, leading to that January 6th attack on the Capitol. Now, following the hearing, former President Trump made brief remarks before boarding his plane.
This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America.
If the allegations in the indictment are true, then you can't give Donald Trump a pass because he was a president or because he's a candidate for president.
Now, the prosecution wants the trial to wants a speedy trial. Now, whether or not it happens before the next year's election, that's up for debate, but Trump's team is pushing to delay. And it is not the first time the former president has been in the courtroom. Like we told you, Trump was first indicted by a New York grand jury back in March. That case alleges Trump falsified business records in connection to hush money payments made to an adult film actress during his 2016 campaign. A trial for that set next March. Then in June, a federal grand jury in Florida charged Trump with violating the Espionage Act. That is after Trump allegedly hoarded classified documents in his Mar-a-Lago home. That trial scheduled for next May. And now the latest indictment handed down earlier this week alleges Trump and some 6 people not specifically named in that indictment conspired to overturn the election, and that plotting leading to the insurrection and the riots on January 6th. And we saw reaction from all angles, lawmakers on both sides and Americans with different ideals. First, Virginia Senator Mark Warner posted on social media saying yesterday, "I was on the floor of the Senate on January 6th. That threat was real. Last year, we passed the Electoral Count Act to clear up some of the ambiguity that empowered fringe groups to think Mike Pence could overturn the election. There's still a lot more we can do to protect democracy." Meanwhile, Florida Senator Rick Scott tweeted yesterday, quote, "Every time we learn more about potential Biden family corruption, Joe Biden's DOJ indicts his top political opponent. This is what despotic regimes do." And the historic arraignment drew big crowds outside of the courthouse. In that crowd were protesters and supporters who turned out for a monumental day. Some say they came to see some accountability. Others say they came just to witness history.
We're here to support the president. He was impeached twice and found out guilty. Third indictment. It's all a sham. The DOJ has been weaponized against Trump.
I wanted to see Trump get arraigned. I wanted to see him come and get his arraignment. Been against a lot of his policy from the beginning.
Many people saying this arraignment is significant for the future of the country. DC News Now spoke with several people who lived in the area during that January 6th attack. Some were just blocks away from the chaos.
I was pretty shocked. The violence shocked me.
Anything he might do and has done is not a surprise.
They were going up the stairs, and the first thing I went was, oh my God. Oh my God.
No man is above the law, and if he's innocent until proven guilty, but if the evidence is there, then basically you have to convict.
For many, January 6th has stuck with them since it happened. So for continued coverage of Trump's historic indictment, you can keep it right here on DC News Now. You can also visit us online at dcnewsnow.com. You can search the word Trump in the search bar at the top right corner of your screen. It'll help you find the most up-to-date articles. All right, we're going over to the Commonwealth now. A new report in Virginia says Black and Hispanic drivers are more likely to get pulled over. Virginia Capitol Bureau reporter Tyler Englander looks at that data.
The report analyzed more than 650,000 traffic stops from July 1st, 2022 through March of this year. It found that Black and Hispanic drivers were disproportionately stopped by law enforcement, with those stops more likely to lead to negative outcomes. The report shows that despite making up only 28% of Virginia's driving age population, Black and Hispanic drivers make up over 40% of drivers stopped by police in Virginia. Meanwhile, white drivers make up 64% of the driving age population, but only make up 57% of the stops. Dana Schrod is the executive director of the Virginia Association of Chiefs of Police. Robert Barnett Jr. is the president of the NAACP in Virginia.
The fact of the matter is that crime is higher in communities of color. We often have more traffic crashes there. We have more traffic stops there because there's complaints of speeding, and people ask law enforcement to come to those communities. So it does mean that we are focused on communities of color because that's where the greatest need is.
This is no surprise, but we just want to highlight that it is a problem in our neighborhoods that causes distrust between communities and law enforcement.
It's important to note that the report says the finding that minority drivers are more likely to be stopped is consistent with data from other states. In Richmond, I'm Tyler Englander.
And in Maryland, Governor Wes Moore is setting aside millions of dollars that he says will help fight hate crime. Governor Moore is sending over $6 million to local nonprofits and police departments across the state to combat hate crimes. Funding will pay for new security features at organizations that could potentially be targets of hate crime. Meantime, law enforcement will use the money to recruit and retain more police officers. Well, it is 12:10, and if you're looking to enjoy the cooler weather outside, we're here to help you find a place to spend your day. Today, all national parks are free to get into. Randy Bass is at East Potomac Park here in D.C., where people can go to find a change of scenery.
Today is one of 5 fee-free days across the national park system every year. And of course, that applies to all the national parks right here in the DMV. Today marks 3 years since the passage of the Great American Outdoors Act that provides more funding and resources to both national parks and just general public use lands around the country.
Today, it's relaxing because it's so cool.
A little drizzle won't keep people away from the parks. Mike Jages comes to East Potomac Park to jog and birdwatch almost every day.
Ospreys this morning already seen, but normally get about 30 different species of bird.
But it's not the only national park he's been to.
Shenandoahs are a great spot to go.
Any of your favorites within driving distance of D.C., Maryland, Virginia?
Shenandoah. Shenandoah National Park is one of the DMV's many national parks open to the public for free today.
It's absolutely beautiful, especially if you're a hiker.
Skyline Drive is great, and it's gorgeous. You get away from the city. You're so close, but then you're in the middle of nowhere.
Add Great Falls, the C&O Canal, and Harper's Ferry to that list too. Rick and Jennifer Baker have advice for anyone looking to hit the parks this weekend.
Get up and go. Go early. I think the earlier you go, the better, because it gets crowded late morning.
Take your kids. Get them off their screens. Get them out of the house. Take your kids with you.
No worries if you can't make it out to your favorite national park today. There are 2 more fee-free days coming up before the end of the year. Those are September 23rd and November 11th. In Southwest D.C., I'm Randy Bass, D.C. News Now.